Hi guys, Summers here and welcome to the Squad Goals end of season review. If you hadn't already gathered by a decent run of results in the last few games of the season, we managed to avoid the drop, but it was pretty close. We finished on 36 points, as did Crystal Palace, but we had a better goal difference than them. It was Newcastle with only 35 points that ended up being relegated alongside Huddersfield and Swansea, all of which will play Championship football next year. As you can see from the results, we really need to win more games in Season 3, having only won 6 games this season and being saved by the virtue of how many great games we drew. Moving on to the other accolades collected this season, we can see that Timothy Weah finished the season on 10 goals and 14th overall, whilst Jack Grealish had 7 assists and finished joint 3rd but 5th on this table. You'll also note that he played the least games of those ahead of him. Right guys, so I think at this point we should take a look at just how some of the players have improved this season. So first off, we have Ewan Alexander. He'll go out on loan when the window opens, but at 67 overall, he's improved by 1. Daniel Babiaro, having joined the full squad, has gone up by 1 overall, but he's down on 61. Meanwhile, Figueroa, the young Portuguese keeper, now has 72, having improved by 4 points overall this season, the highlight of which is a 10-point increase on his kicking and a 7-point increase to his reflexes. We've just promoted Ollie Brown, as the Englishman has gone up by 1 overall to 69, and we'll look to loan him out in this season. Matteo Casardi, meanwhile, has not improved but was threatening to leave the club. At 18 years of age and with 65 overall, we decided to sign him, especially as we'll likely get about £1 million for him at this stage if we decided to sell. Then we move on to the front line, number 1 keeper, another product of our youth academy, Robert Horne. He's improved by a staggering 8 points this season, taking him up to 78, with the standout increases coming from his diving up by 10, his positioning up by 9, and his handling and reflexes both up by 8. He's a really solid keeper at this point, and he's certainly going to be worth a great deal of money going forward, not that we really want to dispose of him. Moving on to the defenders, we have James Bree up first, a young right back that we've had numerous offers from Europe's elite for. But we've managed to hold on to him, and he's improved steadily throughout the season, to the point where he'll probably take over from El Mohammadi, who is due to retire shortly. He's gone up by 3 points overall, with his ball control up by 5 and his sprint speed, reactions, heading, accuracy and marking all up by 4. Just mentioned him, and El Mohammadi, whilst being one of the best players overall in these past 2 seasons, has actually started his decline. At 32, we've seen the best of him according to Fifa, and he's dropped 1 point overall. It doesn't seem to have affected him dramatically at this stage, but that drop in acceleration by 9 points has slowed his attacking verve down somewhat. James Chester remains a solid part of the defensive unit, but much like Elmo, I do see him tailing off next year, and so we've started to put a succession plan in place. We'll skip past Courtney House, as whilst he was a good acquisition for our time in the Championship, it didn't quite translate into the Premiership. As such, we'll be waving him goodbye at the end of the season. Ethan Ampadu is a player we purchased at the start of the season as part of the succession plan for when we start to see the decline of James Chester. He's also Welsh and he's showing signs of becoming a very good defender, although he can play in the CDM role too. He's gone up by 4 overall, with the highlights being an 8-point increase on ball control, 7 on finishing and marking and 6 on short passing. We may look to loan him out next season though to get some top game time under his belt. We've then got Alessandro Bastoni, the young Italian left-footed centre-back we bought in to try and solidify that left-hand side position, and has done a reasonable job of that so far. He's improved by 2 overall, as many of his attributes have increased by 1 or 2 points. Up next we've got Reece Oxford, a player who I've signed many times in career mode down the years, such has been his potential to grow whilst feeling great out of the box. However, this year it appears that FIFA have given him a little bit of a downgrade in that respect, and he hasn't quite delivered what I expected from him. He's up by 2 overall to 73 though. Dan Axel Zagadou is another left-footed, left-sided monster that we bought to shore in that side of the defence. and I've been pleasantly surprised by his composure on the ball, although occasionally he does get caught out by his gangliness. He's also gone up by 2 overall and now has 74. The standout increase has come to his short passing, which is increased by 7, and his ball control, which is up by 5. Josh Wagnerman was somebody I bought based on his flexibility to play both left and right back, something he's done pretty well to cover when needed. He's now on 68, having increased by 3 overall, with some standout increases on his technical side of his game, namely 8 points in short passing, 7 on shot pair and standing tackle, and 5 on ball control, finishing and heading accuracy. Rico Henry has become our first choice left back, as the marauding left-sided player offers us a great opportunity going forward, while still providing excellent cover going back. He's now at 72, having improved by 3 overall. Quite importantly, his crossing has also gone up by 5. Sander Berge has been one of those signings that you really appreciate. Playing in that deep line CDM role, he mops up a great deal of pressure. He's also improved by 3 overall and now sits on 80, having seen almost all of his attributes go up. Nicola Mancini is out on loan at the moment, but showing some signs of being a player for the future, having increased by 3 points, taking his tally to 65 overall. Rich Schneider is a player I don't really have the feels for at this stage. We took him on when he was 15, at which point it seemed like we might be able to make a player out of him, but he's not improved this season and remains on 62. Maitland-Niles is one of the trio of youngsters we stole from under Arsenal's noses, and he's a very solid midfielder. I don't think I've been able to show him enough game time this year, and we'll probably look to get him out on loan next season, unless of course we can squeeze him into the lineup. He's now on 77 overall, having improved by 3 this year. The increase to his stamina and lung shots are noteworthy. They went up by 6. Andre Dozzle is another player that I've had in FIFA career modes in the past, and I've been slightly disappointed with this year. Not really giving him a great deal of games though, so that could go against him. He can play in both the centre mid role or the cam position, the latter of which I think I need to give him more of a chance at in the future. Ricky Pugh is a player with significant potential, but one I'm struggling to get a feel for at this stage. He just feels a little lightweight and I think could probably improve with a short loan spell elsewhere. Michael Kingsley is one of the regens I took a punt on at the start of the season and plays fairly well but remains a firm fringe player. He's up by 3 points for the season and now has 70 overall. I'd put Shaparenko in the same bracket as Pugh. Shows signs of brilliance from time to time when I've used him, but lacks that overall bite that puts him on the team sheet ahead of the likes of McGinn and Grealish. I suspect we'll look to place him elsewhere next season, but he's grown by 3 this year and now sits at 75 overall. John McGinn has been an absolute revelation this season, especially towards the latter end of it, bagging a few goals along the way. At 25, his growth is clearly going to slow now, but I still think he has some potential left over. He's now at 75, having gone up by 2 overall, having seen his finishing increase by 9 points. Lacroix is out on loan, so we won't feature him heavily, but he's gone up by 2 and now sits on 66 overall. Daniel Rossi, another youth player, is now on 65, having improved by 1 point overall. Andre Green has impressed on numerous occasions and has had a 2 point overall bump up to 73, with his technical attributes making the biggest increases. Hans Holm, who's out on loan at Norwich, has increased by 2 overall to 66, with every stat but his lung shots improving on his technical page. Lorenzo Mancini is showing great signs of improvement, having jumped 6 points overall to 65, with the majority of the gains coming as part of his technical game and some attributes absolutely rocketing up. Gabriel Santoro is another player that's been out on loan and showing signs of actually being ready to command the odd showing in the main lineup. He's now on 74, having increased by 5 overall this season, with some impressive increases to his short passing, finishing and attack position. Jack Grealish, the centre point of this team, the man we are really building all this around, has increased by 3 points overall and now sits on 81. He's seen an overall, all-round improvement to his physical, mental and technical stats, and rightly remains one of the first choices on the team sheet. Reece Nelson was a great buy and produced many a result like his real-life counterpart is currently doing at Hoffenheim, where he's on loan from Arsenal. He's gone up by 4 overall and now has 73, as every one of his technical stats sees an improvement. Jonathan Kodjia was an amazing striker for us in the Championship, but he's been totally outshone by Weah this year. His age is also coming to bite him, as he's lost 1 point overall, taking him down to 74. It's always difficult to sell core players in the squad, but unfortunately with Kodra, I think his time at Villa may be coming to an end. Then come on to Nuadiko, done a little bit better than Kodra, but probably because he's able to adapt to the 4-3-3 we've predominantly played this year, whereas Kodra hasn't. He's still a fringe player and will probably become the third choice striker when Brewster arrives back from his year-long loan spell. He's gone up by 1 overall too, and now sits on 70. We then move on to Timothy Weah, bought in from PSG for $7.5 million, and I think he's really repaid our faith in him. He's another player that's really improved almost all round, but most certainly from a technical perspective. His overall has gone up by 3 and he's now on 75 points. Ryan Brewster went out on loan at the start of the season as we knew getting game time for him would be difficult. His attributes have all gone up nicely and he'll return to us having gained 3 points overall, taking him to 72. Julius Okoye has just been promoted from the youth squad and currently has 64 overall, improving by 1 point this year. Like Okoye, Olaf Mattsson has been promoted from the youth academy, but he's rated at 65 overall. Marcus Tavernier spent a short spell out on loan at the start of the season, and when he returned we managed to squeeze him into the lineup on occasion. He's improved by 4 overall and he's now 73 rated. I still see him as a player that will be very good in the future. Smith Rowe, the last of the trio of players I stole away from Arsenal, has grown into a great player throughout this season. He often felt like a little lightweight early on, but he seems to have grown through that towards the tail end of the season. He improved by 4 overall and he's now 73 rated, with every one of his technical attributes getting a boost. Guys, I hope you like that rundown that we've had of the players there. We're just going to finish off some of the other parts of the criteria we need to end this season. As you saw, we just did a bit of training there with some of the players. We're now having a look at our youth scout report coming in from America and seeing if there's any players that might fit our requirements, and also obviously might gel quite well with Timothy Weah, who is a player from the United States. Anthony Clark there got an overall of 64 and a potential of 78. That void is quite dramatic. So that's the problem with a lot of these type of players. The overall, where they may start, their rating and their actual potential, the gap is just too large. So we're just rejecting a number of these players here because they clearly are not up to the standards we require. And then we're just going to run through the last few players that could potentially be signed, but are still a little wide of the mark, let's say. David Rogerson there has got a crossover figure, so I'm just going to promote him just to see what he comes out with in terms of his rating, and then see if we can get him to gain any potential quite quickly. We've also then moved out to our other scout, Alfie Rose, who's situated in England, see if he's got any players that potentially we could bring into the youth academy before we close the season out. And then obviously that was the last month of those searches for those scouts. So we're going to move the players on, the youth scouts onwards. We're going to place Lewis Fraser, our Scottish scout, into Germany, and he's looking for somebody who is physically strong. And then we've got Alfie Rose, the English scout. We're going to move him out to Italy, and he's going to look for a playmaker for us. Again, just adding some more adding some more training to the players. As you can see, Horn's actually gone up by 1 overall, so he's now on 79 for the season. He's finishing the season with another plus to his figures. And we get an email here from the board just suggesting that we've hit one of our targets. So the financial, which was the last one really that we could achieve this season, we've now hit, and as you can see, that's had an impact on our score in the top left hand corner. We're now up to 92. The board is saying that they couldn't be happy with our performance this season, and nor could I really. I knew that this second season would be a real dogfight against relegation, and although we got pulled into that relegation battle quite a number of times because of the amount of draws we got on the board, I'm still happy that we were able to move on into season 3 in the Premier League. We're going to make some changes to the format going forward for Season 3, and I hope you enjoy those. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit that like button and also subscribe to the channel for more FIFA 2019 content.